Hi everyone, how you doing? I'm Chris and welcome to Simple Things Life. Okay, so tonight what I thought we'd talk about is serenity. With so much changing in the world around us, I thought we'd talk about serenity and how we can stay calm and serene through all the things and changes that are going on in our life. So let's take 3 deep breaths to start, and then we'll keep moving. Okay, let's take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth to start. Okay, perfect. Well, where I'd like to start is nature. Okay, so nature, if you spend a fair bit of time in nature or you go out in nature at all, you'll understand that it's been around for a long time and it just seems so permanent. Okay, so imagine a tree that's been growing in an old growth forest for 100 years. Imagine 100 years of being in one spot with all the things that go on around you. And then imagine yourself, a human, and maybe you're 40 years old, 30 years old, 50 years old. Imagine all the thoughts that you've had in that time, and then compare that to an old growth forest tree. Now it might seem a strange comparison at first, but imagine if you could transfer some of the serenity from that tree to yourself. Okay? So imagine all the thoughts you've had in your whole life, like thousands and thousands, millions of thoughts. And imagine the tree in that same spot the whole time that you've been alive. It's been there in the one spot. And why I mention this is because how I train myself in meditation. I spend a lot of time in nature and hours at a time sitting in meditation and focusing on trees and looking at trees and looking at nature. And what it made me realize often is how my thoughts were so fleeting. They come and they go and they come and they go. And nature is so permanent. And obviously I'm not a tree, but I try to learn from the things around me. So I try to learn from nature. And one of the things I've learned is to try to be serene. So behind me now, if you've seen my other videos, you've seen sunset where I live is I'm living on the water and there's water right behind me. But now it's dark, it's late at night, and you can't see the water, but it's still there, okay? But it's still there. And I often sit here at night and I meditate, and I love the serenity of it, okay? So I love information, I love quantum physics, I love learning, I always have. Since I was 17 years old, I've looked at the nature of reality and I've taught myself what is the nature of reality. But the serenity, just stillness, is something that I really enjoy and that I know can be such a benefit to all of us in our everyday lives. So let's start now with 3 deep breaths again, and then we'll keep going. So this time we'll breathe in and out through the nose, okay? Perfect. So let's bring everything out of nature and back into the normal daily lives of all of us. So imagine you were around a friend, example, a work colleague or someone, and you started discussing a topic, and perhaps you had a disagreement on your opinion on something. At the end of that, as things passed and tensions went down, I'm sure you wished you'd also been serene. Okay? So it's so important to have that serenity, because this allows us to express ourselves, but to also come back to a place of peace. And this is honestly the key. It's like you may have heard me talk about before, about how everything in life and in quantum physics is about waves. So waves come and they happen in a certain frequency, and then they pass, okay? And what we want to do is to be able to have waves of emotion arise in us, because we are human. It's great to have emotion. We don't want to just be non-emotional beings, okay? Some sort of AI that has no emotion. That's not what we want at all, okay? And often people get confused on this point. We want to have emotion, have feelings, and have opinions, but we want to be able to come back to a place of serenity where we can just go, okay, that was good. That was a good experience to have that emotion and that feeling, but we want to be able to let it go and back to a place of serenity. And in this serenity, I also want to talk to you about that's where we all are. Okay? So as I'm talking, I can hear fish jumping behind me. Now the fish is in the water, but the deeper understanding is that the fish is also in the same quantum plane at this moment as me. So you are not alone. Wherever you are, you're not alone. You are with me as you hear these words, and you are with other beings who are also peaceful, loving, harmonious beings. And sometimes in this reality, it can be stressful, because we may feel we're separated from what's going on. Perhaps nobody understands you. Perhaps you are single and you're looking for a relationship and you feel alone. Or perhaps you're in a relationship with a person or people around you you don't think understand you. But it's really important to understand that we are all connected. Okay? And that's the truth of the matter, is that in this quantum plane, we are connected. And by being serene, and by you being serene, you can bring out that serenity in others. It really is an incredible thing. If you've ever tried, and you've been in a situation where people around you have been agitated or angry about certain topics or subjects or things that they believe in, if you can be in a state of serenity, then you can find that they will come towards your frequency as well. Let's put it this way. There's nothing that can be wrong about being in a serene state. Okay? So we can have our opinion, and we can go through our lives having our own sets of ideas and what we think. But to be able to come to a serene state, and also, and now this is the key, is to realize that other beings are also from that serene state, that peaceful state, and to recognize that in other people. Even though you might be talking to someone and you might have differing opinions on something, which actually occurs a lot in today's society. Okay, everyone has their own understanding, their own conditioning, and their own viewpoint, and that's fine. But the one thing that we all have in common is a state of peace that's inside us that we can come from. And when you can be in that state and also give your opinion on things, then you can find that sweet spot, like I talk about, where you're on the wave and you're inside the wave, and you're on that sweet spot where you know you're going to come out the other side of the wave, but in that moment you're in that serene spot. And it's a great spot to be in. And honestly, if you have an opinion on something and you have an idea and someone else has a different idea, then to be in that serene spot is the best place to get your point across, and to also listen to their point. Even if you don't agree, it's okay. It's okay to have different ideas, because in that serene spot, we allow ourselves to tap into the bigger picture, to deeper emotions and deeper truths. Okay, so let's do another 3 breaths, and let's imagine, just for hypothesis sake, if you like, that you're talking to someone and they have a different viewpoint to you. Well, let's try now, instead of going into the fire side of things, and the fire side of things is definitely good and has its place, of course, but let's imagine now we're coming from a serene point of view, and where someone has a differing point of view, and we're going to stay in a serene place and allow that frequency, okay, this is important, the frequency come from our heart. Our heart is an electromagnetic machine. It's really a quantum computer, if you want to get into the specifics. And by allowing that frequency to go into the other people from a serene spot, we allow them to enter into that quantum realm that we are in. Okay? So let's do another 3 deep breaths and really focus on serenity now. Imagine you're in the forest and you're taking a deep breath of the smell of that beautiful tree. Here we go. Okay. Now, one of the things I love about Serenity, it always reminds me of the Australian Dreamtime and the Aboriginal Dreamtime, which I spent some of my formative years meditating growing up in. And there's something about the Dreamtime in Australia, which also correlates 100% to the Native American, the Hopis, the Cherokees in this country, okay, in the USA, is that there's something about the timelessness when you're meditating in nature, but you're also connected to your humanness. And I would also bring in the Mayans in that, okay? I spent some time recently in Crystal River, which is a Mayan temple in the USA, and there's a connectedness there too. So there's an amazing thing when we bring our human beingness, I'll call it, if that's a word, okay, also with nature. And there's a serenity and a meeting of the two that when you're in is incredible. And it puts you in a space where time, as I talk about, frequency is everything and time and space are just inside the brackets in the equation, okay? Where the frequency of serenity, okay, is the overriding factor and the dominant energy in the equation, where time and space, which means wherever you are at, become a factor in the frequency. So if I'm sitting here now and I'm focused on talking to you about serenity, well, what that means is that where I am now will be part of the frequency of serenity, okay? So meaning, if you follow me here, that I'm in a serene state right now. So no matter what else is happening in the world, it doesn't matter, okay? There's many things that are happening. There's many storylines that are going on, okay? But in this moment, I'm in a serene state, and talking to you, we are both interacting in a serene state. So meaning that it's a state that we can both kind of agree on, okay? So I'm really showing you a way to be in a serene state with yourself, but to also be with the others around you who may not have the same opinion as you, okay? Because remember, you are never alone, okay? You are part of the serene state. This serene state, I call it harmony energy, okay? You're part of this harmony energy. And in quantum physics, we have something called the observer effect, okay? So it's when you observe something, then you're influencing the thing that you're observing. They're actually having a problem now in quantum physics, where they're saying, as they understand consciousness so much now, the quantum physicists, that when the scientists are observing the experiments that they're doing, that it's having an effect upon the experiments, okay? Which again just proves our point, that how powerful our consciousness is. Okay, so you and I right now are in this state where we're focused on serenity, and that's what meditation is, okay? It's what I've been doing since I'm 17, looking at the nature of my soul, which I discovered and I worked out was peace at 17. What am I? I am peace. And it's pretty much guaranteed that you're similar, right? In your essence, that what you are is peace, and that's what you want to be. And serenity is right there with peace, right? It's like the brother or cousin of peace. It's the same thing, basically. So by us focusing on being in peace, it means that we can be in a state where other people, no matter the state of their opinions, can also access that state of peace. You see, because as you're putting off the frequency and your heart is beating in the frequency of peace, serenity, well, that person, even if they're coming from a state of real anger and distress, okay, which a lot of people are in now, and we have compassion for that, obviously, that they can then link in physiologically through their heart into our frequency of harmony and serenity just by us being there. So let's practice that again. Okay, let's take 3 deep breaths and focus on serenity. So you feel that? It's actually a really powerful state to be in, because although to some people they may never access that state of serenity, do you feel how powerful that is? When you feel that everything's okay, I'm okay. It's okay to be in this state. I'm okay in my skin right where I am at this moment. This place of serenity is where I'm not grasping for anything. Right? Everything's all right in this moment. I feel serene. I'm okay. I can go from this moment and then go and have a series of different thoughts about all sorts of different subjects on which I may differ with someone else, but I still come through it with a feeling of serenity. Okay, it's such a gift to yourself, and that's not even getting into the health benefits. If we start to look at the health benefits of lowering your stress levels and to be able to be in a serene state, no matter what else is going on around you, it's like a superpower, honestly. To be able to go through your life and find a place of serenity, and even if you feel inflamed in a certain situation, be able to go back, even if you're just in meditation away from someone else and other people, and be in a state of serenity, that is a true gift. Honestly, that is one of the best things you can learn, because it'll allow you to reduce your stress, to lower the anxiety in your body, and that's something that everybody wants. And that's something that I want us all here at Simple Things Life on this forum to be able to enjoy, because that's when we can let our true self out. And again, to remember that you're not alone. Wherever you are connected to me, and I'm connected to you. We are just in the same reality. It's just that whether we recognize that and whether we can connect to that serene, peaceful, blissful place where we all are connected. And if you practice this, and you practice these breathing techniques that we're talking about, and you focus on the feeling of serenity, and you close those thoughts down, forget about the thoughts of everyday life, and just let it all go, and imagine here on the water with fish jumping in the background. Imagine a beautiful, peaceful forest with nothing around, and imagine, keep the image of that tree, and imagine this. Let's do a good example. Imagine the day you were born whenever that was, and imagine a tree started growing, okay, from the seed. It started growing the same day you were born in a forest, and that tree is now the exact same age as you, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And imagine the thoughts of that tree compared to your thoughts. Now you have many thoughts because you've had so much stimuli, millions and millions, and that tree has had a certain amount, right? The animals climbing it, the wind, the rain, okay? But much less than you. So imagine it's like a twin, and go back to that place in your meditation and imagine that tree, and it helps you put everything to perspective of nature. And that's what nature does to us. It allows us to put us into perspective, okay? And to find that serenity, will be like, okay, thoughts rise and they fall, like the tide of the ocean. Okay, they rise and they fall. So don't take it all too seriously, okay? If you feel whatever's been in your past, whatever thoughts you have now, just give yourself the space where you let it all go and just focus on serenity, and then shine that serenity and that light out to other people, okay? And you'll find that people will just be naturally drawn into being with you, and that will honestly be the best way so many times that you can help them, is to be in serenity at the same time as you. Okay, so let's do 5 deep breaths now. Perfect. I feel like in the moment when I do that, I'm just in a timeless state, or as the Australian Aboriginals would say, in a state of dream time, where it's a timeless state. Okay, well, I'm glad you've been here tonight, and if you see this video at a later time, I hope it really helps you find some of that serenity. So if you like this video, please click subscribe and like. And if you have any comments and opinions and ideals and suggestions that you have, please leave them below in the messages, and I'd love to talk about those as well. So again, I'm Chris, and this is Simple Things Life, and I'll see you guys all soon. Okay, good night.